Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to play some more Suika games, and we're going to check out some of the other ones that don't exist on the Switch, because not everybody has a Switch, I know that, and then there's plenty out there for free. So this is suikagame.com, where you can play. I believe this is probably one of, if not the original game that was made, and you can see that it's evolved a bit since then, but this still plays perfectly well. The one thing I would say is this is a little bit easier. Actually, what these tend to do is they tend to join fruits a lot quicker. They just seem to attract each other. I'm not saying it's going to be perfectly easy. You're going to get to the point where you can't do it anymore. But if they're really close, they don't have to be touching. They seem to just want to zigzag, as you can see right there. I mean, maybe those were all touching, but maybe it's just they're easier to touch because everything's a little more round. So you don't have any issues with things like the grapes being awkward shapes and stuff like that. But if someone wants to play, it's in any browser. So you just have to go to suikagame.com, and there's others out there, so you can search the internet for other versions if you like. Next we have from lexalawful.com. It's the Pico 8 version, and the Pico 8 is like a mini fake kind of game system or emulator that they invented a few years back. And there's lots of developers making games for this, little mini games. They're limited to a certain size, but you can see this version of Suika Game. It's a demake, they call it. And it's very arcade-like to me because the fruits are very spinny and jumpy and bouncy, which makes it fun. But you drop too quick and too much action starts occurring and things start jumping, and they can jump right out of the top. So you've got to be very careful about where you place things, even though it's kind of feels like it's a hectic, rushed version, meaning that, you want to play faster. What can happen is you get to that and then boom, you can see the cherry jumped right out of the top there on me. So another nice thing is if you have a Miu Mini or a Miu Mini Plus, there's a Pico 8 wrapper that just came out recently, and that's an actual application, so it's not in like the Onion OS or the native OS where you just have an emulator. This is actually playable with the real emulation, but you have to have purchased the actual Pico 8 system, which is about $15, so that you can play this version. But if you ever want to play free, you just go to the website and you can play on there. But this allows me to play it portably if I want, which is fantastic because this is a super little handheld that can emulate just about any system, up to the DS now. And then another way, which is probably one of my least favorite right now, is the touch versions, which are on the app stores. This is the only version I downloaded. It looked like one of the highest rated, so I just gave it a shot. And the downside of these touch ones is you can either tap to drop, but it's not perfect depending on where your finger touches, or you can slide and you can use the line and then release. But if your hand goes out of the screen view, it won't release, so you got to tap again. So you got to keep your finger on the screen, which, if you have a wider screen like the iPad was right there, it's not a problem, but you still have to bring up and tap. But you can see when I played on my iPhone, sometimes when you're sliding, it wants to almost change the app. You know how you can do that to change whatever you're using, the focus on a different app, and you can see that that's a bit of a nuisance. But overall, it's a very good version. I just don't like the swipe and touch versions of games, and it feels very awkward to me because my hand's in the way of seeing what I want to too much. But overall, this is a really great game, and it's free. You just got to sit through, an ad or two if you play really long. But if you want to get it, it's only 99 cents to get rid of the ads, so that's not bad at all. And then there's my favorite version right now, which has come out for the Switch. And this one just seems to have everything right. The weight of the fruit, gravity, the way things bounce, just the pace, all that. The little bit of extra difficulty in getting things to merge. There are a few different shapes in the smaller items, which make it a little more difficult to get these smaller ones. But then also, when you have small stuff, it seems to settle down. You can see there's no touch version built into the Switch, which they could have, but they did not, which I'm glad, because I just would have never played it anyway. I mean, I guess if someone preferred that, it'd be nice, but it works so much better. You can use the, the little D-pad with the buttons if you have a D-pad Joy-Con, or if you just use the buttons left and right on there, which work fantastic, or you can use the analog stick up top if you want, whatever your preference is. But overall, this is my favorite, and now, we're getting into where it costs, but I mean, this is $3. This is an outrageously fun game, for such a cheap price. They could have easily charged, I think, $4.99, or like they do with some games, $7.99, and people would have bought it. But I think this is a great idea to make sure that you price point things so lots of people will buy it. You'll sell more than twice as many and you'll make more money. So there we go. There's all the different ways you can play Suika. There's some you can play, at home, and there's others you can play on the run, whether it's with your Switch on the go, with an iPad, or with something like an emulator like a Miu Mini, or maybe an Abernac. I think that's another brand. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you can't get enough of this game, there's other ways to play it other than on the Switch. So see you next time. So long.